Alright, got the passenger side floor all patched and welded up, and I'm not going to take you any closer because I don't want you to see just how bad my welds are. But any weld that holds two pieces of metal together is a success. I'm not going for cosmetics since I've never had a lesson. Now this side I need to address next. I cut the floor portion out, and that you see that's brown and rotten looking there is the other foot or seat brace that's underneath the floor pan. So it's got some holes in it, but they're not really in an area that's going to cause problems. So I'm not going to replace this brace. The rest of it is really pretty strong. So I'm just going to treat it and then make a patch and put over top of it. It's not really the best way to go, but I'm just trying to buy time on this side, and I think with this car sitting inside most of the time, it's going to live a long time with that slightly perforated brace there. So I don't typically like to do half-ass stuff, but putting that floor brace in on the other side was a real pain in the ass for a guy who's not a very good welder and doesn't have a lift to really get under there and do some of the work. So we're just going to patch it from the top side and call it good, because the rest of it that actually holds the seat in place and provides support is still very strong. So if you're doing these door seals, they come with instructions, and you'll want to read these. So an interesting thing about these door seals, if you go to put these on, you're going to want to test fit these first to make sure you got the right ones. But it does allude in the instructions to the fact that you might not need the first pin at one of the ends. So I went around and put this in and thought I had a seal that was too big, but actually it fits just fine. The issue is that up here in the front, this first pin here towards the corner is actually not the first pin in this weather stripping. So there's going to be a hole here that's going to wind up being in this area here that is not going to be for a pin, as there's no hole for it there. So you just take that pin out. But it's a little disconcerting when you first put this thing on. If you're trying to line all the pins up, you wind up with like a bunched up extra inch or something. But it's actually correct. So follow the instructions. If you want to put this top in first, this top corner, and then go down the back of the door and around to the front, and you should wind up with one extra pin. You just take the pin out and you're good. The factory only glued these at these places I have tape. Just put a glob of glue to hold it, or adhesive, excuse me, let's use the proper term. But Carpenter suggests that you put adhesive the whole length of this. These are supposed to sit in a channel, so I don't know how necessary that actually is, but your call. The final floor patch is installed, and again, it's not great cosmetic work by me. It's going to be seam sealed yet to hide some of that ugliness. But in reality, I should have bought the other seat brace under the floor, because this one is worse than I thought. It's still usable, but in a perfect restoration, you certainly would have wanted to replace it. So I did this with an eye of it's probably going to be temporary, but it'll probably last for at least a dozen years the way it is, because I don't intend to come back and do this again anytime soon. But the floor is a little rough back in this area. I was blowing through trying to weld here because it's so rusty, and I should have cut more out. So let that be a lesson to you. Don't try to cut the corners if you're doing this as a permanent fix. Most of these cars are going to have bad floor pans, so it's probably not going to be an issue if you're putting floors in. You're just going to cut that out anyway. But I really probably should have put the floor brace on that side too. There's enough of it there that, I mean, it's structurally sound, but the edges are getting kind of funky looking. So again, an area I'm not proud of, an area you won't see though, and as long as it's, you know, safely holding the seat in and is sealed from the weather, I'm happy with it for now. This finally showed up. I was on back order for a little while with Autocrafters, but only had to wait maybe 2 weeks for it to show up. And here it is. I installed it in the original mounting board. Just have to remove the 4 rivets that hold the old speaker in. And all but one of the holes lined up, so I just had to enlarge the one hole. And it is now ready to install. This is the rear deck for inside the back window. I'm just reusing the original backer, which is in really bad shape. It's all kinds of warped because of the water leakage that's been having through the back window, I'm sure. But it came with this piece of carpet that I guess the previous owner had intended to use for that purpose, because it was almost exactly the right size. So I glued that together. We're letting that dry. Well, hi everybody, welcome back to the Falcon Nest, and I'm going to go over today what we've done in the last week or so. Made a little bit of progress. So, a quick look at the interior. I got the floor all seam sealed, where the old seam sealer was bad and where I put these patches in. So we're all ready for carpet, which I have ordered. Not sure how long that'll take to get here. It didn't seem like it was going to take very long. Maybe no more than 2 weeks. Dash is back in and together. Everything's hooked up. It's all working as it should. Got the radio in. New speaker in the dash. And the Bluetooth works as it should. So now we have Bluetooth capability to play the radio instead of regular radio, because I can't stand terrestrial radio. I cleaned up all the chrome bits on the steering column and the steering wheel. Heater just kicked on, pardon the noise. New glove box liner is in there with my rebuilt, repainted flasher switch. Got the new weather stripping, more Dennis Carpenter quality stuff. This is for the trunk. And to facilitate installing that, I decided to take the trunk lid off the car. And it also gives me the opportunity to deal with some of these rust issues. The seam seal around the edges is really in bad shape. It's just coming off. I got a hole here. Not much I can really probably do with that, but try to clean up some of this mess. The bottom of the trunk lid is not rusted out. It's just these corners. So I don't really know what I can do about that. Because I want to keep this trunk lid because the paint matches so well on the outside and it's not in bad shape. I just need to clean up all this ugliness. See there, it's really scaly. Same with the hinges. So we'll do some cleaning and painting there. I'm in the process now of getting this trunk weather strip off, and it's glued on, so it's tons of fun. Just getting it out of this channel here is just a delight. As you can see, it's in terrible shape, so that'll probably help us with any water intrusion to the trunk. The channel does not look rusted at all. It's just dirty, and in fact down here it's got you can see the original paint's in there nice and shiny, so that's good to see that I don't have to worry about fixing this channel at all. And if you haven't gotten your Forgotten Falcon stickers yet, hit me up. Drop me an email at DV David Victor and the word AND TL Thomas Larry at yahoo.com. DV and TL at yahoo.com if you want to get some of these decals. I think they're $4 a piece, if I remember right. Includes shipping. So I just stick them in a regular envelope and mail them. Still have to do this door. The run channels need done. The weather strip needs done. I can't get the door open far enough to access the pins at the front to whack them in with a hammer. Same problem with the spring for the door hinge. I need to replace that still. I can't get the door open far enough to put that on, so Holding off on that for the time being. And then we've got to still do the fuel line. And I have decided not to install the pinion seal for the time being. It's not a pumpkin style rear, and when you go to replace these, you have to be very careful that your pinion depth isn't disturbed and you don't crush the crush sleeve more than it already is. There is a method that will work for that to keep you from doing any harm, but it's a little fiddly and I'm just not feeling it. The fact that there was so much oil still in that diff tells me that that leak, though it looks bad, probably isn't that bad. So I'm going to leave it for now. I'm just not confident that I'm going to be able to do that and not make a problem bigger. I may come back and do it later, but for now, I'm not too worried about it. We're still looking for an 8-inch for this car, so see if I can find that. I think we're about a week away from Spring Carlisle, which I only live about 45 minutes from there. So I'm going to head up there, see if I can get some things for this car. Seat belts. I think there's a vendor that sells seat belts up there in different colors. I want to see if I can get a decent color match instead of just putting black ones back in. And whatever else we can find that might help us on this car. So that's it for now. I will follow up again after next weekend. See anything interesting at Carlisle, I may put a video up about that. But that's the current status. We're getting closer to putting it back together. The seats, they found vinyl that will work. I still got to hit them up about the cloth. They were supposed to call me this week and they didn't, of course. I just love sending things out for sublet work. So I got to call and harass them this week to see if I can get them on that. They told me it was about 2 weeks from the time that we get the upholstery picked out from the seats being done. So it's not going to be too terrible. And should probably have the carpet before then. So the interior, except for the headliner, will all be done. And then we can move on to the front steering and suspension. Again, goal is to have this thing at the Falcon Nationals in July, which should not be a problem. And I also intend to have this car at the the Ford show at Carlisle. I want to take it to that too if I can. So as always, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, why not? Click that button. Just do it. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.